Live from Innovation Park on the campus of Penn State University, this is PSN News. It's Monday, December 2nd. Tonight, we'll bring you updates into the mysterious death of a visiting teenager in State College last month, as well as former Penn State football coach Jerry Sandusky's resentencing trial.
We also have more on the Supreme Court hearing a gun control case for the first time in nearly a decade, a new law increasing the age to purchase tobacco products in Pennsylvania, as well as your entertainment and sports. Stay tuned.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Sebastien Kraft.
And I'm Maddie Biertempfel.
The October 19th death of an Erie, Pennsylvania teenager at a College Avenue residence was ruled accidental by the Center County Coroner's Office. 17-year-old Jack Schoenig of Cathedral Prep in Erie had difficulty breathing and entered full cardiac arrest the night of the whiteout game against Michigan. Police and EMS arrived at the house, which was predominantly occupied by members of the Chi Phi fraternity, shortly after 9:30 p.m., and resuscitation efforts were unsuccessful. An autopsy report concluded Schoenig died of a chemical asphyxia due to nitrous oxide inhalation. A toxicology report from the coroner's office detected no alcohol in Schoenig's body at the time of his death. Chi Phi received an interim suspension following the incident. The suspension was subsequently lifted November 19th.
3 cases of mumps have been confirmed at Penn State's University Park campus. University Health Services made the announcement late last month and said those affected have been isolated in accordance with the Center for Disease Control and Prevention and Pennsylvania Department of Health policies. Mumps is a highly infectious disease and can be passed through saliva and respiratory secretions, often caused by coughing, sneezing, or sharing drinks. Symptoms appear around 16 to 18 days after the infection and include fever, headache, and tiredness. 2 doses of the measles, mumps, rubella, or MMR vaccine are typically enough to ward off the infection. This is not the first time Penn State has had a run-in with the mumps, as multiple cases were reported this last spring as well as in 2018.
Popular Mexican fast food chain Qdoba's West College Avenue location closed permanently this past Friday. The restaurant went out of business, location owner Charles Akins citing the Qdoba location opened on North Atherton Street in 2017, which stole away his business. Akins, the College Avenue Qdoba's owner since 2013, said the new location was established without his permission. The increased competition resulted in a financial loss for Akins' location, totaling between $150,000 and $200,000. The restaurant could not recover from the significant commercial blow despite a remodeling effort late last year.
Jerry Sandusky has again been sentenced to 30 to 60 years in prison for his convictions on 45 counts of child sexual abuse. Earlier this year, the Pennsylvania Superior Court ruled that the mandatory minimums weren't properly applied when the former Penn State assistant football coach was first sentenced. The new sentence, however, is the same issued by a trial judge in 2012. Sandusky has at least 23 years remaining on his sentence, which is being served at the State Correctional Institute of Laurel Highlands. The convicted child abuser continues to maintain his innocence. Sandusky's attorney says he hoped for a reduction in the sentence, but that often requires evidence of remorse. His team will reportedly still be seeking a retrial in the future.
Stay tuned, because after the break, Bella Langston will bring you the latest in entertainment.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Bella Langston with your entertainment update. Besides the excitement of returning home for Thanksgiving break, students got some juicy news when the Student Programming Association, SPA, announced rapper and singer Doja Cat would be performing in Alumni Hall December 5th. The organization announced her arrival November 20th, and soon enough, students flooded the hub to receive tickets the very next day, where 500 were already sold. Students without a ticket also had the chance to get one earlier today in the hub's main lounge and at the SPA office. Tickets will also be on sale tomorrow and Wednesday from 11 to 5 in the SPA office. Doja Cat has quickly made a name for herself and gained a vast following due to other hits like Go to Town, Roll With Us, and of course, Juicy. Her recent album, Hot Pink, was released earlier last month. The concert will start at 8 p.m. The Penn State School of Music will be putting on its Mosaic Showcase this Sunday at 4 p.m. at Eisenhower Auditorium. Mosaic is the school's annual performance that spotlights large and small ensembles as well as individual performers. The performances will take advantage of Eisenhower's stellar lighting and stage elements. The event will highlight Penn State's top performing artists with the unforgettable concert. Tickets are $33 for adults and $10 for students and are going fast. Singer and Grammy Award winner The Weeknd released 2 new songs last week that are already climbing to the top of the charts. Both songs, named Blinding Lights and Heartless, have soared to the number 1 and 2 spots of iTunes sales chart in the United States since it hit streaming services. Blinding Lights made its debut on November 27th with a retro 80s feel that also appeared in a snippet of a Mercedes-Benz commercial where The Weeknd himself got a role in. Heartless followed soon after last Friday with the same Weeknd sound that many of his other hit songs convey. The Canadian singer worked with producers Metro Boomin, Max Martin, and Austin Holter for these singles. Still no word has been said about an upcoming album yet. That was your entertainment update. After the break, Adam Mikuleshko will bring you the latest from the world of sports. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Adam Mikuleshko with your sports update. Men's basketball has been making a name for themselves recently. The Nittany Lions are now 6-1 on the season. It should be undefeated, but after blowing over a 20-point lead to Ole Miss, Penn State went on to beat Syracuse 85-64 over the weekend. Senior Lamar Stevens was the top scorer in the game with 20 points. Senior forward Mike Watkins and sophomore guard Myron Jones each produced double-doubles. The two teams have not played since 1982. Penn State broke an 11-game win streak from Syracuse after losing 88-84 on January 29, 1975. Penn State continues to try to make a case to be in this year's March Madness tournament as they go up against Wake Forest at the BJC on December 4th. Are you ready for Penn State's football's bowl game? Penn State football is waiting to see where they play in the next couple of weeks after the Nittany Lions sat Sean Clifford this past Saturday against Rutgers. Will Levis took charge of the Nittany Lions offense, throwing 81 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Penn State only beat Rutgers 27-6 and now sit with a 10-2 record while being ranked at 12. Although, unfortunately, because of their 2 losses, Penn State will not be making a name for themselves in the playoffs. However, they do have a chance to be in one of the biggest bowl games of the year, the Rose Bowl. Penn State has a history with the Rose Bowl and look to make more, as this is possibly their bowl destination come next week's picks. The UFC has been in the headlines recently. The notorious Conor McGregor is back in action on January 18th as he goes up against Donald Cerrone. This will headline UFC 246 at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. McGregor is known as one of the best to ever step foot in the octagon, and after this past year of criminal behavior, McGregor has signed the dotted line, and it looks like he is trying to make a name for himself again in the UFC. McGregor's last fight resulted in a loss on October 6th of 2018 in UFC 29 when he lost to Khabib Nurmagomedov by submission. McGregor's last win came in 2016 when he knocked out Eddie Alvarez to win his second title. That was your sports update. Stay tuned because after the break, we'll have an exclusive interview.
Hello and welcome back to PSN News. I'm Brandon DeWolf. Tonight we have Hannah Mears, sideline reporter for Go PSU Sports, and somebody that you recognize all around campus. Hannah, you're kind of everywhere, so thanks for coming on our show today.
Anytime. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So, like I said, you're somebody that a lot of people, especially within the College of Common at Penn State in general, or anybody that's been to a football game will easily recognize. Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences and what you do around here?
Absolutely. I'm honored that you think that everybody recognizes me on campus. That's pretty cool. I don't really think of myself like that all the time. I'm the girl who walks around in sweatpants and hoodie to class. But my experiences here, wow, I don't even know how to put it into words. I started out as a freshman, like the end of my freshman year, realizing I was sitting through an interview. I was just going to meet with Ariel Sargent at the time, who was our feature content reporter. And I thought I was just going to be an intern for her and writing. And I realized I was sitting through an interview, like maybe halfway through it. I was like, what the heck am I about to get myself into? And so eventually I went through the process of going to meet Jim Nachman, who's my boss now. And they were like, you know, sometimes things happen for people at certain times. And they were starting up a new segment called Beaver Stadium Extra. And that has sort of been my heart and soul the past 3.5 years here, where I am on the sidelines of Beaver Stadium and literally reporting on all of the extra content that's taking place. So we interview special guests that come back, former players, any type of thing that's happening at the field that day. We're sort of covering cutting it, turning it into a YouTube segment. And it's Adam Gilbert and I, who is an amazing cameraman and editor. He makes all those pieces really come to life. And that's what we've been doing. And we take those segments as well, and we go to the Bryce Jordan Center and do it at basketball, and we do it at wrestling, and we do it at Thon. And we're looking to expand even further in the spring. So it's been an incredible opportunity. And it's also led me to an opportunity to cover the NFL Combine, which was insane. And I had an internship with production with the Pittsburgh Penguins this summer. So it's really just been my heart and soul, and it's led me to way more than I could have ever imagined doing here at Penn State.
Awesome. So you've had a lot of experiences that students within the College of Comm would love to be a part of. What advice do you have for students, whether in the College of Comm itself or just in Penn State in general, to capitalize on opportunities like the ones you've been given?
Yeah, never say no to opportunity. I'm really bad at taking on too much, I should say, sometimes, because I'm definitely the kind of person that never wants to say no. But sometimes you have to be careful how much you put on your plate. But you just have to be careful what you say no to, because saying yes to everything, like you want that opportunity. You never know if that one thing that you're going to be doing is going to lead to meeting that one person who's going to give you your big break. So I think for me, just being able to say yes to absolutely everything you possibly can. You never know who you're going to meet, what's going to jumpstart your career. So also being kind to absolutely everyone you meet. I don't care if it's somebody that looks like they're just there to clean up after you've been done. Just being able to be there and say hi to them and let them know that you recognize all their hard work they're putting into.
Sounds good. So last question, it's an easy one. Who's the coolest player you've ever interviewed here at Penn State?
Oh, the coolest player I've ever
You gotta
interviewed.
pick
That's
one.
such a hard question. I'm going to say one of the coolest players I've ever interviewed was Saquon Barkley, just because he was sitting in with me. He was one of the first people I met here my freshman year at Penn State, sitting in my class, and we talked about being on SportsCenter one day or something. And then here I am on the sidelines of Beaver Stadium interviewing him about his NFL experience. So that was pretty cool for everything to finally come full circle.
Great. So on that note, that's all the time we have. Thanks for joining us tonight. And thank you, Hannah. We'll be right back with your weather after this.
Secretary of the Navy Richard Spencer was fired last week after a war crimes controversy case that the White House influenced firsthand. President Trump instructed Spencer to restore Navy SEAL status to Navy Chief Petty Officer Edward Gallagher after he was convicted of posing with the corpse of a deceased Islamic State soldier in Iraq. Those charges were eventually acquitted. Trump was known for advocating for the elimination of ISIS on the campaign trail in 2016. He was heavily involved in Gallagher's case while enabling Gallagher's administrative review to be canceled in lieu of restoring his trident pin, the mark of a Navy SEAL. Spencer wrote in the Washington Post opinion piece that President Trump, quote, has very little understanding, end quote, of the American military. Defense Secretary Mark Esper relieved Spencer of his duties due to the private deal with the White House being outside of military protocol.
The legal age to buy tobacco in Pennsylvania is increasing from 18 to 21. Governor Tom Wolf signed 2 bills last week that make the age minimum also apply to e-cigarettes and vaping products. Pennsylvania is joining 18 other states in raising the age to 21. However, there is an exception for veterans and service members who are 18. The new age requirement will take effect July 1st next year. The legislation is meant to deter teens from getting addicted to nicotine.
U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Gordon Sondland testified before the House Intelligence Committee Wednesday, November 20th, in what proved to be the most controversial hearing yet amidst the House's ongoing impeachment inquiry. Sondland described a quid pro quo arrangement involving President Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and the withholding of foreign aid toward Ukraine. According to Sondland, numerous U.S. officials were in the loop about Trump's desire to prompt an Ukrainian investigation into Hunter Biden's dealings with Ukrainian energy company Burisma. Sondland's testimony comes in light of the July phone call between Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. As of yesterday, Trump has refused to testify in the impeachment hearings, citing a lack of overall fairness.
The Supreme Court today heard oral arguments for its first major gun control case since the 2008 D.C. versus Heller decision. The dispute is between the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association and the City of New York over a statute that restricts the transportation of firearms outside of city limits, even when they're licensed, locked, and unloaded. The statute was later amended, and the city removed the prohibitions against transporting guns outside the city, a change that city claims makes the case moot. Lawyers for the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association say a ruling is necessary to set precedent on the constitutionality of transporting firearms.
And that's all for tonight on PSN News.
Be sure to check us out on Twitter and Facebook at PSN News, on Instagram at Penn State Network News, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Have a great night, Penn State.